got started on didgeridoo by playing tuba. Played tuba since middle school, and experiment with different kinds of sounds I can make out of it. You can imitate things like thunder and wails, and if you play with a bad tone, a bad tuba tone is the beginning of a good didgeridoo tone, and vice versa. So I was experimenting with that before I knew what a didgeridoo was, and then when I finally saw a didgeridoo, I really got into it, and I went back to it, and it was about a 4 or 5 year period where I was kind of mucking around with different pieces of PVC pipe, and still doing more experiments on the tuba, and now I'm where I'm at today, where I'm playing probably more didgeridoo than tuba these days, even though my degree's in tuba. This one, it's soda cans, it's Pepsi cans all the way up. I just kind of cut the tops and the bottoms off, and slid it down the center where it's got the nutritional information, which looks kind of, doesn't have much visual look to it. And then I made a solid form, and then I would shape them around that and put them together with clear tape. And then once I have that, I put fiberglass sheet over it. And then once the fiberglass dries, you can just pull the whole thing off, and it works pretty well. And then for a mouthpiece, I used like a plumber's epoxy on the top and just shaped it down to the right size. Circular breathing is simply a matter you store air in your cheeks, and when you're squeezing that out of your mouth, at the same time you're filling your lungs through your nose. So it looks like this. And then you just let back out your lungs again. When you're almost empty, you do the same thing again. Now, for those people trying to learn circular breathing and they've got troubles with it, circular breathing is not too hard to learn. It's the circular playing that really becomes the trick. Because once you get this down, you have to be able to keep your lips vibrating the whole time. Where most people trip up is that they can do the circular breathing when they apply it to the didgeridoo. As soon as the air comes out of the cheek squeeze, that small amount of air that comes out of there versus the large amount of air that comes from the lungs, there's much more power here than there is coming out of this. When you've got that little bit of air pressure, for most people their lips will stop vibrating because there's not enough air pressure to maintain the pressure within their lips. So as soon as you go and put that here, you'd get something like this. That's what most people can have trouble doing. The way to overcome that is once you learn the circular breathing so that you're actually breathing, is to practice with the didgeridoo while you're watching television. Because if you watch television, you're taking your mind off of what your muscles have to do, so you're not trying to control it. The muscle memory that you built up in doing those exercises will just kind of take place, and it lets you relax because you're not focusing on it so much that it'll just kind of happen. Traditional name for the normal ones made, eucalyptus wood hollowed by termites, is called a yidaki. It's one of the most common Aboriginal names. But I would never call this a yidaki because this is something I'm making. Didgeridoo is a term that the white settlers, when they went to Australia, they thought the instrument sounded like it was going didgeridoo, 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 which is a very common Aboriginal rhythm that's performed a lot. So that's how they came up with the name for it. And it's just kind of gotten to be known the world over by that name. Yeah. Yeah, and my style of playing is very non-Aboriginal, very, very different than what you hear Aboriginal people playing.